What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to yet another video. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys your weekly SPY and QQQ market update. We are coming up to a major area on SPY, so make sure you guys do stick around for the entire video and get all of my levels that I am going to be watching next week. But real quick, as always, if you guys do find value in this video, make sure to smash that like button as well as clicking that subscribe and that bell icon. It would mean the absolute world to me. But without further ado, let's hop into the video. So before hopping into the video, as always, we do want to know about the economic calendar going into next week. We don't have much planned. So on Monday, June 5th, at 9:45, we have our PMI, 10 o'clock factory orders, and then 10 o'clock ISM. If you're in open positions at these times, just be a little cautious about some short-term volatility. Tuesday, nothing planned. Then on Wednesday at 8:30, we have our trade deficit, which in my opinion is going to be pretty important. So definitely pay attention to those numbers. And then at 3 o'clock, we have our consumer credit. Then finally, going into Thursday at 8:30, we have initial jobless claims. And then at 10, wholesale inventories, nothing else scheduled for the week. So a very light week as far as economic reports and no Fed speakers. So now hopping right into the analysis, I want to start with QQQ and NQ, and then I'll give you guys the one level that I am watching on SPY next week. So let's take a look at QQQ. Looking at QQQ, we talked about this daily squeeze and the effect that it could have on the overall market. If you guys go back on my main channel, Brandon Trades, and you watch some of the past weekly market updates, we talked about this daily squeeze so much and how high the probability was that this daily squeeze was going to fire up. This is the result of that daily squeeze firing to the upside. So QQQ, it's sitting at new 52-week highs, which is actually pretty crazy to say. So zooming out to a weekly time frame on QQQ, I mean, guys, I honestly don't have much rejection points. You can see that we're trading above that 61.8. The only other area that I could possibly see for a reject on QQQ as far as fibs, as most of you guys know, I do love my Fibonacci's, is going to be all the way up here at 360, 350. Now, if we go to a daily time frame, we just get rid of the 21 and 34 EMA. We can just start using basic support and resistance. So if we do zoom out to a 4-year daily time frame, we can go on over here and start looking at some basic support and resistance areas. So today, let's see, we closed right at 355. We're trading above 350, which was a major area. We do have this gap fill right here from 356.78 up to 359.93. So that is an area that I'm going to be watching. But as far as any support or resistance, guys, I really do not see much on QQQ. We do have some price action over here at this 360, 360. But again, that lines up with that fib right there. So that's going to be the main area that I'm going to be watching for a reject next week. Now, as far as potential bounces, that really depends on when we end up setting a high point before pulling back. So if this does end up being the high, or wherever that high ends up being, it could be at 357, could be at 360, whatever it may be, I'm looking to take this pivot low right here to wherever that high is on the Fibonacci retracements to then look for a bounce. So here's an example, pivot low, pivot high, if you're looking for the pullback. If you guys don't know how to use the Fibonacci retracements, I will be leaving a link down to a 1-hour video that I did on how to use Fibonacci. That link will be down in the description. But I'll be looking to take that low to wherever the high is to look for a bounce, and then this low to wherever the high is to look for another bounce. That's pretty much everything I'm going to be watching on QQQ. If we zoom out to a higher time frame on NQ, again, you can see that I have no good reject until this 70.7 all the way up here at 14,926.65. So that's the only good reject area that I'm going to be watching on NQ. It is currently in this daily supply zone right here. So it pretty much got to the top of it. If it breaks through the supply zone, it's more than likely going to come up and test this high over here. As far as any strong support or resistance points, I mean, we're trading above most of them. So I think if I'm going to look for a reject, it's going to be at this 14,926. That's the main area that I see. And then if the market starts pulling back next week, again, it depends on wherever that high point ends up being. Take the low to the high, low to the high. Again, the high could be right here, could be all the way up here, could be right here. It just depends. Whenever the market sets a high, that's when I'll be using that fib. Now, heading on over to ES, and then we are going to get to SPY, and you guys are going to see the main area that I am watching next week. We just go ahead and delete all of that. We can see that ES did come up and pretty much break through this entire supply zone right here. So if ES is able to break through this 42.95.5 and get that continuation next week, I'm looking to I'm looking to take it back up into this high right here. Plus we have that 4,300 psychological resistance point, but I will be watching that 4327.5. And then the main area that I'm going to be watching on ES next week, if we take this pivot high to pivot low right here, you can see that we got very, very close to that 61.8. This is the main area that I'm looking for a reject next week. As far as ES, you guys are about to get the SPY one. But if ES pushes up to 4309.25, I am looking for a reject. If price breaks and clears 4309.25, it's a straight shot to that 43.27. And then if we start zooming back out on the weekly time frame, I mean, that was the only main fib that I'm watching. The only other one that we would watch is all the way up here at 44.25. If we're going to reject, I'm mainly watching that 43.09. If price starts pulling back, we can take, again, Fibonacci retracements this low to that high, wherever the high ends up being. As you can see, if we took this pivot low to this pivot high right here, bounced right off the 50% retracement 2 days in a row, and pushed straight up in price and gave us the next leg to the upside. So again, depending on wherever that high point is, I will be looking for a pullback to then look for a bounce. And then finally, if we take a look at SPY. So looking at SPY, if we zoom out to the weekly time frame, we have this pivot high to pivot low right here. The most important level that I am watching in the market right now is 429.6. If SPY breaks right through that, honestly, I'm going to be a little shocked, but I guess we will see next week if we test that area. So after 429.61, could test 431.73. After that, SPY does have more room to the upside, but if price starts pulling back, I am going to watch that like 420 to 420.7 for a potential bounce. 420 because that's a psychological area of support. Again, intervals of 5 on SPY and QQQ are very, very important. And then 420.7 was also a key resistance turn support area. So I will be watching that entire 420 to 420.7 for a potential bounce. So if we pull back, look for the bounce there. Also using Fibonacci retracements, wherever that high point ends up being, maybe we fall just short of 429.61. If that's the case, pivot low, pivot high. Pivot low, pivot high, I'll look for the bounces. But that is going to wrap up everything I'm going to be watching next week on SPY and QQQ. So as always, if you guys did find value in this video, make sure to smash that like button as well as clicking that subscribe and that bell icon. It would mean the absolute world to me. Everybody have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.